All right, so we're back on, and we have, as I say, we have the easy, the not the easy, sorry. Well, it's kind of easy rolling from here because we have the harder part down. We have a working read file function that we know each time will read the contents of the file into, yeah, it will read the contents of the file into um a structure array, and each time it will read it from the beginning of the structure array to the end. And if ever we make a change to that structure array, we have the write file function to just simply overwrite the contents of the structure array, which was read and modified, right back to the file on our computer. Okay, so now we want to move ahead, and we want to see if we could do the search function. Okay, we want to see if we could do the search function. So we had the search functionality under as the second option. We had a to-do statement there, but now we could just take off that to-do statement and we can name the function search. All right, we can name the function search. And we have to, of course, declare that search function. So we say void search. And if we have it declared, we have to be able to define it. Void search. And what do we want to search by? Right? What do we want to search by? We want to be able to, let's just simply do like a search for a name. Okay? We could search for a name, or we could start off with a nice simple search. So when we call the search function, which in this case, if we could just test and see now what it doesn't do anything at all because we have no code associated with it. We could say now you can ask the user if they want to search for specific position, search for somebody who's a specific age, search for a first name or a last name. I am only going to do a name search. All right, I'm only going to do a name search, and it's not going to be a perfect search like if you type something like the name has to be matched up perfectly. All right, so I'm going to say printf, please enter a first name or a last name to search for. All right, please enter first name or last name to search for. And then because we have to get this name, we have to have a variable to store this name in, right? And again, where we searching, we have to search the structure array. So we have to call the read file function to allow us to load up the data into the global structure array so that we could search for this name in that. So enter a name to search for, we could get name, right? And so the name that we want to search for is there. So how are we going to search for this person? We will say again, we could say for what? We know how many people we read from the file, because when we read from the file, we keep the amount of people inside of the variable list underscore I. So we could say for, and I need to have an int here for my counter, int, right, G, right? For J is equal to 0, semicolon, J is less than list underscore I, semicolon, G plus plus. So for every position that we know that somebody exists, we want to compare their name to be able to search for that person. right? And we compare, we searching, we have to, how do we search? We have to compare names. How do we compare strings? Anybody could remember how we do string comparisons?
STRCMP?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Or but actually STRCMPI, because you know we don't want to search for we don't want to search for just you know with the capitals or whatever. Next thing somebody put in Hannah with a capital H, and we sorry common H, and we get nothing because it's looking for a capital H. So we want to search every position inside of our inside of our structure, right, which is name list. So we say if for every position, if list at position G dot first, right? Well, I mean, we have to say if strcmpi for list at position G dot first, comma, name. And how do I know that the name is going to be matched? If it is equal to 0. Or strcmpi for list at position G dot last, comma, name is equal to 0. What do I want to do? I could just simply display this person's information, right? I could display this person's information here because this is just a simple search. This is, we're not doing anything with it, right? We're not doing anything with it in terms of when we get to editing and deleting, we might want to display with the index and get into that. But this is just simple right now. We simply just searching for this person's name against the list of all the names that are in the file. Okay, so all of these people inside of this file, right? And so yes, so we can say if the name, first name or last name matches, then what do I want to do? I want to just simply printf, right? Printf percent sign s, comma, percent sign s, comma, percent sign s, space percent sign s, right? Dash percent sign d slash percent sign d slash percent sign d, right? Colon percent sign s, comma, percent sign s. I'll print out their information, right? I'll print out their information so that we can have their list at position G dot first, comma, list at position G dot last, comma, list at position G dot birthday, right, comma, list at position G dot birth month, comma, list at position G dot birth year, comma, list at position G dot position 1 and list at position G dot position 2. We print out the information about them. Okay? So what did we do? For the search, all we have to do is read the file. Read the file. Right? If it is that the character, right, variable to store name to search for. Okay? Index for going through prompt for this is the prompt for the search information, right? Get the name to search for every member in the list. The name matches. Display the information for that particular user, for that particular member. And this should work. So far, we could finish this off with a get char so that the information will pause, and let's see if we could find somebody. So if we search, enter first name or last name to search for, right? Let's search for Alisha, and we have this information coming up for Alicia. Look how nice and simple the search was, right? We could make the search a little more complex, because you could always ask for more information for this search, right? Let's see what happens if two people had the same name. So let's say, for instance, Jane Ali. Jane Ali's name was actually Tina Ali. We have another Tina down here, Tina Timmy, right, who have a birthday error, and I'm leaving that error there so that when we get to be able to edit, we could actually edit it from the program itself. Okay, and let's see what happens here. All right, so we can say now, search for a member. Please enter name to search for Tina. We have the two different Tinas on the team coming up. And again, as I said, you can modify the search to be able to, search for positions, right? You could search for positions, you could search for, birth dates or something. So it's all primarily the same concept, right? I find I'm getting plenty enters after that there. Let me see why is that. 2. Please enter, enter. Why do I have to press enter twice here? All right. Let me go up to my menu. Oh, I have a get chart after here. Okay. Let me move this get chart to just simply inside here and see if that changes. I don't want to have to hit enter too often, right? Because in terms of the add member, right, I will get chart there. All right, so let me just check and see if now when I say search 2, all right, please enter first name or last name to search for. Let me search for somebody who's not there, right? John. So John is not there. Okay, so what happens here is that we could also put in something that like a flag and see if found is equal to 0, right? And inside here we could simply say found is equal to 1. But if we get down to here and we say found is equal, sorry, not found, but if found is equal to 0, what does that mean? It means that we never found anybody, right? So we can say printf member or no member with that name was found in the database. Okay, so no member with that name was found in the database. So our found, right, will change if we find a user, right? So user found So not user. Why do I keep on saying user? A member. Okay. Member found. So the flag value has changed. Right? Member found, so the flag value has changed. And then we could say no member with that name was found in this database. Right? And so this is if no one was found, the value would still be 0. Right? Display a message to the user. All right, so that we can, this should be int found. Yeah. So there we go. All right, so we have search for a user, search for a member, enter first or last name to search for. All right, Valdez. No member with that name was found in our database. Okay. You could also use the substring function. I'm trying to figure out why I'm getting that little weird error with respect to having to enter that choice twice. And I'll figure it out and I'll figure it out. Right, search, enter first and last name, Valdez. Now it's only work once. Huh. All right. So the search was nice and quick, right? And the thing is with the search could lead into your edit or delete, right? Because the search is tied to the edit or delete. Because if it is that you want to edit a member, you have to specify who you want to edit or who you want to delete. Okay? Everybody good with that? Everybody understands that?
Yeah, sir.
Right? So the edit and delete could actually be tied to the search, because if I call edit a member, right, I have to still say which member I want to edit. Right? What I want to do here, and I'm going to leave it and delete for next class, because that is these could get a little complicated, even though they're tied to each other. We're going to have to make a couple changes, not a couple changes, one small change to the struct, and a couple changes to the search function to be able to incorporate this. But then I also want to add an option, a sixth option. So, right, this should actually be printf. A sixth option. Well, let's put this as 5 and see. Show all members of the club. Right? So show all members of the club. And this is a nice, easy function to implement. So actually, we could change this one to case 6. We could add case 5, right? And we want to change this to show members to do. Okay, so we want to see all members inside of the club, and that is just going to simply allow us to just do a printout of everything that we would have done from a read file, right? So show all members of the club. This has to change to 6. 6 is now to exit the program. And you see how easy a change that was. So now we can add a function. And at this point, we've satisfied the criteria for our SBA, right? Because we have 5 functions. We have a data structure. We have file input output. At this point, we have done what is necessary to get potentially full marks from the SBA. But we want to create a program that works well. We don't just want to get, we just don't want to meet the criteria and then say, well, yeah, I meet the criteria, that's it. Anybody want to do that? Nobody raise your hand. I don't want to know. Right? But we want to go beyond that because we want to be able to do, we want to be proficient with respect to our we want to be proficient with respect to our programming. Okay, so we can add a function void, right? Show all. Okay, so void show all. All right. So void show all. And we want to call this show all function in here. So we say show all. So when we call this show all function is so simple, right? This show all function is really just void show all. It doesn't take in any parameters. And what do we have here? I could borrow some stuff from here. I could borrow int j from here, right? Because this is the index for going through all. So we have the index here, and I could borrow this. I could borrow this statement here, and just simply remove the criteria for having for blocking any value from showing when we have a match. So this is it. This is show all. This is to show all of the people inside of my file, right? The only thing that I have to do at the start is I have to read file. Make sure that I have everybody from the file read. And I think that I have enough there. So 5 show all members of the club. I don't like how the exit jam up there, so I'm going to stop right now and put a \n here, right? Because we want to make sure that our program don't have anything that is too confusing, right? So we say show all members of the club, 5, and it show and it flash because we did not have a char at the end here in order to pause our output. So show all members of the club as everybody who's in the club. Okay. As we go back, then we could search for somebody, right? Man, that person is inside. Anybody have any issues with what we did today? You realize all the hard work was done in the last session because all we had to do today was tweak the read file function, right? Especially with this line here to make sure that every time we read the file, it puts it into the array from the beginning. And we also had to tweak it to ensure that we didn't have any issues with respect to when we writing it back, we didn't want to have to write a \n twice because fgets was making us read the \n that was in the file. Okay. Anybody have any issues? No? Good. Right. And we identified that by using some printf statements as some debug statements with writing to the file to identify where our issue is coming from. And that is the thing. If it is whatever you print out to your screen, the way that you print it out to your screen is going to print exactly the same way with printf. Okay? So as long as you're using fprintf, to save yourself frustration, you could always print out the screen in the initial, and then once you feel like you have it properly, then use the printf statement. Okay? But remember to gray out this if you have to do that, because every time you call over a file, open a file with W, it will erase the contents of your file. We created the search function, and we did the search function just based on a comparison of first name and last name. You guys could go on and create a search menu for this, which will ask, okay, do you want to search for all people of a specific position? Do you want to search for all persons who are, who are of a certain age? You could do that. You could do that. That's for your own personal benefit, right? But we have the basic concept of a search down. According to some criteria, put out some results. And then we did the show all function, which kind of just simply shows all of the information that was in the file. Everybody good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So I think that this was a productive class. We move forward. Right, I think we move forward. I don't think we have any, any major issues or anything. So at this point as it is, you all are well poised to start your SBA. So what I would like for you all to do, and I know that it seems like a lot I'm asking for, but I would just like for you guys to start sending me a paragraph that will act as your problem definition, that will just describe the problem definition, the program that you want to create for your SBA. Okay, let me stop the recording.